Good evening, people. Welcome to the Kaiju Transmissions podcast. My name is Kyle Byrd. I am joined by some of my good pals that listeners should not be unfamiliar with. My good old buddy Kevin.
Hello.
And returning, I think returning from the last episode I put out, Lux Edwards.
It's a great day to be a believer.
I guess. So a lot has happened since we last recorded. G-Fest has come and gone. Kevin and I went. I'm sure we'll do a proper recap in the near future. Canada caught fire and invaded my airspace here in Michigan. And there's been power outages left and right. But we're fine, and we're back. And we are going to talk about the Human Vapor Netflix series, which came out at the beginning of the month. But I think first we should probably talk about, some unfortunate things that have been going on. I think we have a couple tributes that we gotta put out there. I guess we'll start with the most recent one. It was revealed earlier today that Kaylee Hottle, the young actress who played Gia in the Godzilla vs. Kong films, passed away earlier today due to a car accident. Again, only 18 years old. From what I understand, there was another car. It says, per police, a 19-year-old was driving a Honda Accord when the vehicle traveled off the right side of a two-lane roadway and struck a culvert. The driver went to the hospital, and the passenger declined medical assistance, and Hottle was taken to a local trauma center and pronounced dead. The last time we got together, we talked about a handful of deaths, and I always just kind of say, like, I don't have much to say other than, like, this is awful. 18 is way too young. This girl in deaf communities was already kind of becoming iconic just for, her how her character was portrayed, and she did a lot of things behind the scenes for ASL advocacy, there's nothing that would lead me to believe she didn't have, like, an incredibly bright future, taken out by something as mundane as a car crash. Way too young. I don't know if, like I said, there's not much to say other than, like, this is really terrible. I don't know if either of you have anything else to contribute there.
Nothing that you didn't already say. It's a pretty horrible loss. She definitely was a great asset to the deaf community, being an actor and representative of them. And one of my favorite parts of these Monsterverse movies was her character, for better or for worse, for how it was written in some of them. So
yeah,
it's definitely a horrible loss.
And of the Monsterverse actors, she was one of the most active in terms of kind of the convention circuit, and was kind of the closest to the fans of pretty much anyone that I associate with that whole wave of films.
Yeah, for sure. Just someone I never heard a bad word about, and someone that was really outspoken about how feeling about how she felt that deaf and hard of hearing individuals, how she wanted to change the perspective people had, and that it's not. She said it shouldn't be considered either a weakness or a superpower. And she gave she would give discussions about being someone who uses ASL. So yeah, I mean, she also had a future in activism as well as acting, and it's really awful that someone so bright was taken so young. But yeah, I mean, that was a shocker. So yeah, it was only right that we gave our tribute to her. And then also, we also lost the iconic Sam Neill. July 13th, he passed away at the age of 78 due to pneumonia. I think a lot of people listening to this, I mean, obviously know him as Alan Grant in the Jurassic Park films. But really, I mean, the guy was a powerhouse of an actor in so many things. And a lot of really good performances in horror movies, which I feel like he's kind of underrated in terms of like someone who's given really good performances in horror. One of my favorite movies, Possession. Also in the Mouth of Madness, the John Carpenter film, Event Horizon, Daybreakers, and outside of horror, and The Omen 3, which is one of the better Omen movies that isn't the first one. But also films like Sleeping Dogs, The Piano, Hunt for the Wilder People, with the Taika Waititi movie. He's fantastic in that. And yeah, another guy I never heard anything bad about, and he died of pneumonia. He just beat blood cancer not that long ago. We will see him next year in Godzilla X Kong Supernova, which I believe is his last movie. But yeah, that's another one where I was like, that was unexpected, because last I heard he'd beat cancer. But yeah, either of you have anything you want to say about Sam Neill?
I do think it's worth checking out the rest of his filmography if you only know the Jurassic Park films. Byrd just mentioned a whole lot of fantastic horror films, and it's definitely a different mode from Jurassic Park, but honestly, I feel like stuff like In the Mouth of Madness is like even more rewarding as a film experience for me.
Oh yeah, great movie.
Yeah, I agree. Just if you aren't familiar with the stuff that he did outside of horror movies, even like some of the stuff he did in thrillers was awesome. Like he's a great side character in The Hunt for Red October. He's in a pretty neat little film called Dead Calm with Nicole Kidman. So yeah, definitely check out all of his work, because he was just a celebrated actor who was not celebrated enough, I think.
Yeah, it was always kind of weird that after Jurassic Park, he didn't become like, I don't want to say the new Harrison Ford, but like someone like a household name, I guess. But his filmography, yeah, I mean, some of these might not be household titles that are as famous as Jurassic Park, but it is chock full of great movies. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how he is in Supernova. Hopefully it'll give him like a decent last hurrah. Maybe he does more than just read cave paintings or whatever. I don't know, but it was always a treat when Sam Neill popped up in something.
I really like to imagine that after working with Spielberg in Jurassic Park, he was like, you know what? I've done them all, except I got to do a Paul W.S. Anderson.
And it's, I don't know how. depending on who I say this to, this could be controversial, but to me, Event Horizon is still the only truly, truly good Paul W.S. Anderson movie for me. I enjoy Mortal Kombat, for what it is, but Event Horizon is like, that's where it's at. All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, all the awful news is out of the way. So let's go ahead and get into our main topic, which is the human vapor. So this is an adaptation of the 1960 Toho mutant film, The Human Vapor, directed by Ishiro Honda. And this is a co-production between Toho and the North Korean, oh my God, the South Korean studio Wow Point. Written by Yeon Sang-ho, probably most well known for the excellent Train to Busan, but he also did Parasyte the Gray, which we also reviewed here a few years ago. That was the Korean Parasyte miniseries. So he's sort of the showrunner, and it was written by him and his writing partner Ryu Young-jae, and it was directed by Shinzo Katayama, so a Japanese director. However, it's a Japanese director who has had a lot of experience in the South Korean film industry. He is a protege of Bong Joon-ho, and he worked as an AD on several of his movies, like I think Memories of Murder is one of them. And he has made his own film since, and I think the one that's sort of well known is called Missing, and there was also a series he did called Gannibal, which was like a gritty sort of murder thriller show, and starring Shun Oguri, who we have seen in Godzilla vs. Kong as the younger Serizawa, and I don't remember that character's name, but he powered Mechagodzilla. And Yu Aoi, who is a fairly well-known Japanese actress. There are two main protagonists in The Human Vapor, and then first-timer Yuta, simply Yuta. He's the one-namer, like Madonna. He plays the Human Vapor. And so, yeah, I think, I mean, if you go way back to like one of our, probably the first October that we were doing Kaiju transmissions, if you want to hear, our thoughts on the original Human Vapor, check that out. But it was part of what was known as the Transforming Human series, which has the Mutant Trilogy, which is the H-Man, Secret of the Telegian, and the Human Vapor. And then a little bit before that, there was the Invisible Man or the Invisible Avenger from 1954. And sometimes Matango gets thrown in there because it's sort of a spiritual successor to those. And the mutant films were, when Toho was just starting out and doing sci-fi things. I mean, it wasn't just we're going to do Godzilla movies. It was, okay, there's giant monsters. Here's, mutants or human-sized monsters or kaijin or whatever you want to call them. Then they would do alien invasion movies. And obviously Giant Monsters is the one that stuck. And, then we have the Godzilla becoming a big franchise. But this goes back to the days where they were being a little more experimental. And I don't think either of you have had a chance to discuss your feelings on the original film. So Yeah, I would love to hear Kevin and Lux's thoughts on the 1960 version, just quickly. It's one of my favorites.
I think it is a very strong film. It's not one that I tend to revisit a whole lot, just because like a lot of the 60s stuff tends to, when I'm doing like a marathon of all of the movies together, I'll watch it, but generally if I'm just like throwing on a movie at random, I tend to gravitate more towards like the 70s era. But every time I've watched it, it's been good.
And Lux, I think you had said that this was one that it was like, I think one of the final classic era Toho movies that you hadn't touched, and you were waiting for this moment to watch it. So yeah, give us your fresh perspective.
Yeah, here we are. I think I've been saying that for a few years now here, off and on, whenever this movie gets mentioned, that it's the last one that I hadn't watched yet, other than Half Human, which I won't be watching.
What do you mean?
for reasons that have been discussed in the Half Human episode.
Right.
But anyway, Human Vapor. I finally got around to seeing it because I knew that this series is coming out and we were going to want to talk about it. So this gave me a great excuse to go track it down. And yeah, it's just it's great. There's not a lot much more to say about it. It's in that same vein, like you said, as the other transforming human movies. So it's definitely like the H-Man and Secret of Telegion. It's doing some stuff that you don't really see Toho do, like in their monster movies, experimenting with different types of storytelling. And yeah, I really, really dig it. And I thought I thought it particularly had a really good ending.
Yeah. No, it's great. And it's one of those that I haven't watched, I don't know. I've maybe watched it 4 or 5 times in my life. And I first saw it like when I was in high school. So, I haven't seen it that much, but it is one that every time I watch it, I'm like, this is so good. I should watch this movie more often. But yeah, it's great. So an interesting thing that we kind of learned when Toho were doing this, and I mean, we've said it on the show, I'm sure we've said it off air, but a lot of people that we know, we talk to, I know me and Kevin are 2 proponents of this. We've always said, like, Toho has such a rich filmography of monsters and science fiction, and it's not all Godzilla. And we've always said, like, why don't they try to do something, give someone a crack with some of this stuff. I know, like, in like 2017 or whatever, when Steven Soderbergh was trying to make Matango, and Toho said, like, give us like your firstborn child instead of like a reasonable licensing fee. We were frustrated. We were like, so there's so many great things that there's so much fertile ground in these classic properties that they have that aren't Godzilla. And so I was excited when this first got announced. But on that note, what's kind of interesting is Yeon Sang-ho, when Toho flew him in, I don't know if they flew there or whatever, but they met with him from Japan to Korea, or bringing him in from Korea. And he said they presented him with a list of 10 titles and said, we want you to do a reimagining of one of these, pick one. And he picked the Human Vapor. I don't know what else was on there. I would assume the other mutant films were options. And yeah, I don't know what else would have rounded out that list of 10. But that does, to me, say that if this is well received, maybe they'll continue to bring in these interesting filmmakers and say, hey, you want to give this a shot, or you want to give that a shot. And Yeon Sang-ho is not, I mean, he's a successful acclaimed filmmaker of horror and science fiction. So yeah, I mean, I would totally love to see them do stuff like this more. Now, and with him, you know, they were able to get a big budget. I mean, these are all actors that are like pretty famous. Like these are A-list people over there. So they were able to get a budget. It's using a lot of the same special effects, VFX guys that worked on Shin Godzilla. And so with a good cast and a good crew and a good budget, we have the Human Vapor 2026. And this does what I think most remakes or reimaginings or whatever should do, especially when it's something that is, you know, a reinterpretation of something that is really strong, like the original Human Vapor. They take the general idea and just do a completely new story, like the two leads being a reporter and a policeman, and there being a guy that can turn into vapor that is killing people. That is, and the characters share some names. That is it. And that is also like my favorite reimaginings or remakes. Like all of them really don't touch the original. Like, you know, John Carpenter loved The Thing from Another World, but instead of remaking that film, he went back to the short story. Or, you know, look at things like, you know, what Cronenberg did with The Fly. I don't know. I think it's kind of divisive for reasons I don't completely understand, but like the Evil Dead remake, I really like. And these are remakes that just kind of take the general idea and build a whole new story, new characters, and go in a completely different direction. And that's what they did.
Yeah, even when it has like little callbacks, they're done in subtle ways that if you, it doesn't interrupt the flow. It doesn't, like if you haven't seen the original, you won't be like, oh, now I gotta pause and look up what this is referencing.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I heard that they were doing this, I was like, okay, what's a modern Human Vapor? And it's even I couldn't have thought up this storyline. You know, I was still going off of like, okay, there's a gas man who is also kind of an incel, and he's trying to like, you know, rob banks and stuff, and that's not what this is. And good, because that Human Vapor, I already have that movie. I can watch it whenever I want. I don't need it again, just with, you know, snazzier CG or whatever. Anyhow, so what is this Human Vapor? So this Human Vapor, I guess I'll give the general summary, and then we'll kind of pivot into halfway through the series where we get to the twist, and we'll get into more spoilerific territory. So a scientist is on a TV talk show, and he suddenly this sort of smoky gas goes into his nose and mouth, and he levitates and he expands until he explodes, and guts and blood splatter all over everybody. And then the Human Vapor makes an announcement that says, I killed this guy, and be on the lookout for me because I'm going to do it more. And we have Inspector Kenji Okamoto, who is a policeman who was recently suspended, and you know, he's trying to kind of come back and prove himself again. And we have and he's sort of on the case, trying to crack what is actually going on with this guy. And then we have Kyoko, who is a reporter. She was the one interviewing this guy when he blew up. And, you know, and this is one of the only remnants of the skeleton of the original. They're a former couple in this. In the original, they are more or less, you know, I don't know. They're flirtatious. I'd say they're sort of like a couple. Anyway, but like the original, there is this kind of debate over, you know, what is the real difference between, you know, being a detective and being a journalist, and you know, they're both trying to get all these details, and that's sort of where the first half of the show leads us. And so I'll collect some general thoughts because I've been yapping quite a bit. And then we will go a little deeper and get into the twist, and that is really where what the show is about kind of reveals itself. But all we know at the beginning is that this human vapor man has been killing people. And there is some involvement over an organization called White Center, which was supposedly housing, you know, homeless and disenfranchised people. But there were much more sinister things going on, sort of all in the name of science, but also, you know, then we also get into themes about science gone wrong as well as capitalism gone wrong. Anyway, before we get into further details and kind of get into what the show is actually about, I just want to collect just general feelings about the show. Kevin, we'll start with you. Just overall, how do you feel like this turned out?
I really liked it. I do wonder if some of the things that I liked might alienate other people. I mean, certainly there are some very strange scenes and very strange characters that are very memorable, and that's where I had the most fun with it.
And it also, it's not like it's not super over the top, like it's not a comedy, but like the show in general has a weird sense of humor too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the plot, you know, once it really gets going, like it takes a couple of episodes, but once it goes into full swing, it's very engaging. It has, as you mentioned before, very good special effects, and you know, a surprising amount of violence. That's another thing that might put some people off. Did Kiefer share his story about watching it with his wife?
No, but I want to hear it now.
So I guess every time they sit down for dinner, they accidentally wind up watching something that's too violent, like The Boys or Invincible or something like that. So, you know, Kiefer was like, okay, this one will be fine. It's a remake of a movie from the 60s. And they sat down with a plate of spaghetti, and like just as they're like getting down to dinner, the first guy explodes.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes is yeah, you might as well give up right there.
So yeah, that's you know, that's not going to be for everybody. I know some people are more sensitive if they are, you know, Showa purists or whatever, but that as a modern horror movie sensibility fan and somebody who follows the other stuff that this director's this screenwriter has worked on, you know, things like Parasyte and Train to Busan and stuff like that, it like makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I'm with you. I don't know. I mean, I get that a lot of this stuff, you know, we're used to it being a little bit more family friendly, but I don't know. Sometimes it's time for the adults to have fun too. You know,
well, and I think in updating it for modern audiences and modern sensibilities, I mean, when the original movie came out, it was more of a horror film, and like you mentioned with like The Fly or The Thing, like those were, you know, movies from the 50s that, you know, when updated to the 80s, you know, really ramp up the level of gruesomeness to them.
The thing really bothered people when it came out. So, but yeah, every now and then we need a human vapor or a Kamen Rider Black Sun to be like, hey, there's stuff that is also adult, but Lux, let's hear how you felt this endeavor turned out.
I, for one, am right there with Kevin. I think the gas man has got gas. There's definitely some things in the show which will alienate people, which are things that I personally loved about it because it was so quirky and interesting. And also the things that I personally like about it are the stuff that it holds back on. Like with a sci-fi show like this, and there's a monster at the center of it, like watching a lot of other, like, I'm just going to compare it to K-drama and K-horror stuff that we see on Netflix. Like you typically see a lot more of like the monster appearing every week, and there's something going on in or not every week, but you know what I mean, every episode. And in this one, they knew how to give you everything up front in the first episode and get you hooked in, but then bring it back and be like, hey, wait a second. This show is actually about the characters, about the mystery behind the human vapor, and about, unraveling what, where he came from and what led to all of this. And as well as the drama that it plays out between these other tertiary character groups like the yakuza and the terror zone, the YouTubers, and so on. It reminds me a lot of Yeon Sang-ho's other Netflix show Hellbound, which I love.
Okay, I was interested in checking that out. So you would recommend it?
I would definitely recommend it, and that series has a lot more to say about like religion, like more so about like I would say it's directly referencing like maybe the Moonies a bit, maybe not even a bit, but just directly. But yeah, Hellbound I would really highly recommend it. And it does the same thing where it only barely has the monsters in it every now and then to really only drive the very compelling human plot and the stuff going on with the characters. And if you're here to see a bunch of the human vapor do a bunch of stuff in every episode, it's not going to be your thing. I'll tell you that up front. But anytime he does show up, it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm with you guys. I was like, when Lux was talking, one thing they had mentioned was, I guess just how it updates the concept, and it's a completely different story, yes, but like one thing that I love about the original Human Vapor is it's a good melodrama and it's a tragedy, and this is very much that, and it's tragic for different reasons though, and just the nature of the human vapor is different in both films, and we'll definitely get into that, but yeah, this is kind of, not only is it like, okay, finally Toho tried to resurrect an older property, but not only that, but it's a really good a really good reimagining of it, and they don't do that often.
Retroactively, they did it with Japan Sinks.
Yeah, Shinji Higuchi's Japan Sinks, the worst version of Japan Sinks, or like, what was in the 90s, the Super Atragon, that was kind of a dud, and so it's like, yeah, more of this, please.
I was talking about the Japan Sinks anime because they, bought the studio that made it.
Yeah, that's cheating. We can't give Toho credit where they don't deserve it. But yeah, technically they own the Japan Sinks 2020
yeah,
something. I don't remember, which we all did really like. But yeah, that's cheating. So anyway, yeah. So they finally actually did, and maybe it's because some of those previous, reimaginings weren't received so well. Like I'm pretty sure Super Atragon would have been a series but they settled on 2 OVA episodes, and Japan Sinks was. I feel like I think it did okay at the box office, but I think word of mouth, even in Japan at the time, was like, ugh, this is a stinker. But
I
yeah,
think most people don't really like it for some reason, but I think Singular Point is freaking awesome.
Yeah, Singular Point is great. This more of this, guy. Like, I mean, give me a Telegian, slasher series. Give me, a body horror H-Man or a gnarly, trippy, like, psychosexual body horror Matango. Like, let's do more of this.
You can make an amazing Gorath in the modern age.
Oh yeah,
I mean, really could.
Yeah, I mean, you and that's one that, like, a lot of I mean, I like that movie a lot. But that's one that, like, some of the science that the filmmakers were actually, like, going off current research at the time has been, like, so thoroughly, like, outdated. I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you could do. And so I don't know how this did in Japan. Here it was a Netflix show, and Toho didn't do much to market it. So, like Singular Point, it just kind of landed. But yeah, more of this. So we all really like this show. So I think now, to get into really the meat of the discussion, we can get into the big reveal in I think it's episode 4. This is another thing that we said, there's some things that might alienate people. There's a big twist in episode 4, and at first I wasn't even sure how I really felt about it, but as the show went on, I was like, okay, this is being done well. So spoilers, if you haven't seen the show, go watch it. All 3 of us recommend it highly. So go watch it, because we're going to spoil it, and come back to this point in the episode. So the big reveal in the middle of the show is that Kyoko is actually in on all of these murders. And she has been orchestrating them, I want to say, with with Ren, who is the human vapor. His name in this is Ren. So she's been orchestrating these with the human vapor as revenge on the main players that were in charge at the White Center. She was one of the child people at the encampment. What we is revealed about the White Center is not only was it, so it was a place disguising itself more or less as a place for homeless and disenfranchised and refugees and but they really had deals with the scientist, Dr. Sano, who's the one that gets killed at the beginning. The beginning, he's saying that he has discovered a way to turn human waste into fuel. It turns out that how he discovered that was at White Center. He was basically using these people in experiments to turn human beings into a source of fuel. Kyoko, she sees a lot of her friends die after the doctor has people go and explore a meteorite crash, and a whole bunch of them die of some sort of sickness from the meteorite, including her best friend. So she is angry at all the people that helped orchestrate that. And she escaped the White Center and ran to a ramen restaurant where she ran into Ren, who at that point is not a vapor man. And he's not all stoic and weird. He's just a regular dude, a really good-hearted, good-natured guy. And we see how he raises her as a child. And then we go forward to White Center, exploring the meteorite. And we see that Kyoko isn't there. She escaped having to be one of those people, but Ren is there. And he manages to go into this cave near where the meteorite crashed, and he gets further than any other person. Every other person that's gone that far has died. And so he gets basically up close to the meteor, and he more or less feels like he feels himself burning, and he runs out of the cave. And he catches on fire more or less, and this is where he gets his powers. And then the other thing though is it sort of fried his brain, so he's not really like a person like in the original Human Vapor. This Human Vapor is more of like he like a vegetable. And the song called Ellie My Love, sung by a Japanese band called Southern All Stars, that is a song that was very special to him and Kyoko when he was raising her. And if he he kind of freezes into the statue sort of solidified state, but if that song is played, I guess just whatever muscle memory he has left goes back to a memory where he held out an invisible microphone playing with her and said, like, "What's your request?" or something like that. And if he is played that song, he unfreezes and he holds out his arm and he says that, and you can tell him to do anything and he'll do it. And she has been doing that ever since she discovered that he's still quote unquote alive, and she has been having him kill these people that are responsible for all of this awful stuff. So for me, having the Human Vapor be like more kind of like just a vessel to carry out whatever you want him to do was an idea I had to get used to. I had to disconnect myself from Mizuno from 1960 and sort of get invested into this version, but I was able to do it. So that's what the show is really about. And we have to see how Kenji is going to deal with all this. We have to see how there's these two YouTubers who are kind of like, I don't know, they kind of do shows about horror but also true crime, and so they're kind of like trying to figure things out, and they kind of get sucked into all this mess. And we also have to see how Kyoko is going to handle I mean, eventually she obviously has to come clean. She actually does quite quickly. And then that's where we kind of get into some of the more metaphorical stuff as well. This idea that humans are fuel. I mean, yeah, that's what the White Center is working on. But also, I mean, it comes up in other ways during the show, like people talking about just the everyday grind of work, and saying like we're all human fuel, for this capitalist machine or a company, or we're all human fuel for our bosses. So that's where some of the more subtextual or metaphorical things come in. Like I said, when I didn't know how to feel about the twist, but as I continued to watch the show and how they handled it, I was won over. It didn't take much to win me over. But what about you guys? I mean, how did you feel? It's such a hard pivot in the middle of the show. I mean, how do you think, that worked out?
I thought it made him a lot scarier, because, early on he seems like he's somebody who's aggrieved, and but as such, you don't feel like he's gonna go after somebody that doesn't deserve it. But once he's revealed to just be a Terminator, then all bets are off, right? So that that made it much more compelling, in scenes where he's kind of menacing the main characters that you wouldn't have expected in circumstances prior to that, because you'd think like, oh no, he's just going to go after the people that did him wrong. But if he's just taking messages from whoever, then I also kind of had a moment, with the whole backstory with the meteorite cleanup of like, is this another example of 3/11 trauma? Is it, it does feel a little bit removed from that context, but there was the whole thing with the radioactive waste cleanup that people basically were going to their deaths to go do that, and in that case it was voluntary, but it could easily have
I think intentionally or unintentionally, there's definitely, I think, callbacks to that. And I mean, even if they were unintentional, it's probably something that was crawling around there somewhere.
Yeah.
But Lux, how do you feel about the pivot into, I guess, what the show's actually about? And because it's much different from the show we thought we were watching.
I didn't know how to feel about the pivot at first. I did think it was a little bit awkward in the way it was revealed and handled, because it's just kind of like just laid out for you immediately. So it kind of killed like all of the initial mystery that was in the show and throws it aside to start building a second new mystery to build up to an ending.
It really is like one show ends and another show starts.
It really is. And I think that the building of the second mystery it's good and I enjoyed it, but it definitely felt like it slowed down the second half of the series more than I would have liked. That's my one nitpick with the show, is that I think maybe like the second half started to slow down a little bit too much with all of the unraveling of like the people behind White Center and the conspiracy. And I feel like they could have been condensed more.
Well, that's where you get a lot of subplots unwinding at the same time. Like that's when, I mean, it's in the first few episodes, but that's when we really get more into the yakuza subplot. Which like the first part of the show, like it's more about exploring the yakuza connections, and then it turns out they were just partners, and then you get into all the flashbacks, and then you get into things like the people who were in charge, Mufu, who were that's actually the name of the band that three of the three main guys that did the White Center stuff had prior to working at White Center. It's like what is it? There's the governor, who are I don't know. See, this is what I'm saying.
Like the head of the yakuza.
Yeah, there's a yakuza guy, the governor, and I think there's one more.
The scientist guy, right?
Yeah.
The scientist, and like there's the superintendent, like the chief of the police.
Right.
Force.
Yeah. The police. Yeah, the police guy. So we get into sort of like the sort of backgrounds of each of them, and that takes up a lot of the time. And then we also have the subplot with, we haven't even talked about too much, the Kaho, Fujita and Kaho's terror zone, the YouTubers, Kaho and Fujita, who I actually really, I mean, I've seen some people online say they didn't really connect with those characters, but I actually thought they were a lot of fun.
These characters are like tailor-made to connect with the audience.
Right.
Yeah, these are the characters I cared about the most.
Yeah,
like,
I
was extremely upset as we got further into the show, and like they were like in danger.
Right. Yeah.
Like they're paranormal investigators. They're like struggling. They have like Toho movie posters all over their home.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a brother and sister. And again, I mean, we talked about just how the show writes the characters well. Like, they felt like a brother and sister. Like, they just their banter, their rapport, um, and the one Kaho, she's trying to save up to get plastic surgery to remove like a birthmark that covers half of her face, and the whole time I'm thinking like, don't do that. Like, no man in the world would look at you and be like, oh, you're unattractive.
Which, to be fair, is what her brother keeps saying the entire time, too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I like that they have, like, a real sibling relationship. They're supportive of each other, even though there's times that they hate each other. And all of that is established with these these are, like, very supporting characters. They don't take up too much of the show's runtime, but you still get a real idea of, like, who they are, how they care about each other. Yeah, her brother is saying, like you don't need to like do that. And like, here I am in the audience, I'm like a straight dude, and I'm like, yeah, I this, if anything, this birthmark makes her look like interesting and not like, oh, that thing's hideous. Like, it's like, girl, get it together. And her brother is always trying to tell her that. But yeah, the second half is where a lot of the subplots kind of piling up like a house of cards a little bit, and I do think there's times where it's trying to do a little bit too much. So that's probably like sort of my one, like, if there was like one more pass at the script that kind of like tightened up some of that stuff, I think like this would be basically perfect. But yeah, that's the stuff that is kind of like keeping me from saying like this is a 5 out of 5, no complaints kind of thing.
And I think the stuff that could have really benefited the most from, instead of maybe cutting it down, maybe fleshing out with an additional episode to help build further into this, would have been to help. That they should have leaned even further into the subtextual stuff going on. Like you mentioned, the human fuel thing, where there's different characters who have different meanings for that phrase when they're talking about it. When it comes to these Mufu people, because each of them seem to have their own philosophy around human fuel. And then also, as they reveal like the main antagonist at the end, who turns out to be the governor of the, or not the governor, the mayor of the city. He seems to have political stuff going on that they also really were trying to say something about, especially as we get into those last couple episodes. And we don't get enough of it. But I'm sure for a Japanese audience, maybe there's enough for them to really extract the subtleties. But for a Western audience viewpoint, I can tell there's things there, but there's not enough of it for me to really grasp what they're trying to say about him.
One thing in particular, stand it off there, yeah.
One thing in particular I brought up when we were done watching in chat was, like, he wears a lapel pin that is a rainbow ribbon.
The rainbow ribbon, yeah.
And it's very prominent. So they definitely want you to notice that he's wearing it. And it's just very strange to me that they're centering this guy who seems to be a progressive candidate or a progressive politician as like this horrific human, which is fine. I'm completely fine with that messaging. It's just, it's not built on enough. So it just kind of falls flat, and it's weird.
Can you refresh my memory on what is said about him that like shows that he's like has progressive policy or whatever?
At the very end, when it becomes revealed that he's the bad guy, and like he's holding a rally right after he does the stunt to kill all of his own like campaign people and make himself look good. he's doing like the press conference or whatever, no, or the rally on election day, and like he's talking about his platform at the rally, and all the stuff that he's bringing up at the platform are like pretty progressive stuff that you wouldn't hear from like the LDP, such as like one of the last things he says is free education, like free university for everybody, and like everybody like gets additional, not just time off for having kids, but also like universal basic income. I
remember that.
Yeah, they all get universal basic income for having kids, and it's all like this guy's definitely progressive by Japanese standards.
Well, like I like it, like you said, I don't. I wonder if maybe there's just some stuff that they were like, we really don't want to go more than 8 episodes, so maybe they had to cut some stuff down. Because there's nothing that because I mean you could look at that in multiple ways. You could say, okay, is this guy just saying what he thinks people want to hear?
Exactly, and that's what I want more of. So that we have
is this his Penguin? Yeah, is this his Penguin and Batman Returns moment, or are they vilifying those ideals? We don't know. I mean, I've watched enough of Yeon Sang-ho's work that I wouldn't paint him as a conservative, really. And then there's other ideas in this very series that are like, I mean, the whole human fuel thing is basically the show saying like we're all just meat for a grinder for whether it's a company or some other higher purpose. We are human fuel for something that does not serve our interests. We are just fuel for something else. So I don't know that I would say that the show is really dabbling into that sort of conservatism. So yeah, I understand what you're saying in that, like, does this mean anything? Does it not mean? It could mean something, or there's just as high likelihood of it not meaning anything. Like,
right.
or maybe like we're just dumb gaijins, people. Like in Japan, are progressive politicians as useless and full of hot air as they are here? I don't know.
And I think that the main disappointment, I guess, comes from me having some, not just because the show itself doesn't expand upon it enough, but because I know that this team is capable of doing more with ideas like this, because like Hellbound gets very political and gets very extreme in its messaging, and it's very clear about what it's trying to say. And to a lesser extent, when we watch Parasyte the Gray, that also was very clear about the stuff it was trying to say. It didn't leave anything on the table. So when we get stuff that just feels like a plot stuff that they could have used, it's just a disappointment more than anything.
I agree.
Well, I do wonder, like, one of the things I noticed while watching this is like how fast he gets canceled, and that does feel like a very kind of progressive phenomena. So maybe that's part of it as well.
I will say...
I did like that about the scene. Don't get me wrong. I thought the scene was a good scene.
I will say though, I mean, if I'm John Toho and these guys throw 8 scripts on my desk and it's so stacked with subplots, and I hand them to the editor, if there's one that I'm like, okay, we got to sacrifice something here to retain the integrity of the character development and everything else, it probably would be the stuff with the politicians, because that's not as fun as it's not as interesting as Yakuza, or Cruel Science Experiments, or a Vapor Man murdering people, or spunky charming YouTubers. Like, it's like, if someone might have had to make that choice, and like, okay, something's got to go.
I also thought it was really quite amusing at the end, where like the politician tries to kill himself, and then no, we have to save him so that we can have him sent to trial and then get hanged. Like,
Hey, man, look. They got a no kill. It's just like Batman. Batman's like, hey, I'm going to just keep putting this guy in a really abusive asylum for the rest of his life.
Well, that's a lesser subtext to the show. They do build on some in the early part, but then drop, and I think that's speaking to it though, is when the Terror Zone people are talking to Kyoko and they find out about what's going on. Kyoko asks them to, join her and help her on her revenge plot. And Kaho says no. She's like, no, you're killing people. You're just as bad as the White Center people that you want to kill. So no, we're not going to help you. So I think that might be a callback to that, where he's, instead of just letting the dude die or shooting him on that rooftop, he's trying to save him because he doesn't want to be like him, But again, these are little things that they're not built on enough to really have the connective tissue. We're putting it there because it wasn't built on in the show itself.
Yeah. Another thing I didn't quite super get. Well, first of all, there's a scene that's awesome where this crooked cop, not the one that we were just talking about as part of Mufu, but another crooked cop who's in it with the yakuza. After the yakuza boss gets killed, he meets the rest of the gang at a bowling alley.
The greatest scene in the show.
Yeah, almost. which is it really is like, did the Coen brothers come and like guest direct this scene? But
no, very much. I when I was watching, it's like, this is definitely a reference to The Big Lebowski. There's no way it's not.
No one else has ever filmed bowling that way. But he says, like, if I make this like impossible shot in bowling, I get to do whatever I want, or like you guys have to do whatever I want, or something like that. And I
now the way it's framed is that he's the corrupt cop, right? And he shows up, and the yakuza guys are like, we could kill you now because we don't like you, and just take this money, like we don't need you anymore. And he says no. It's like they're like, if you make this shot, we'll let you live, but you're never gonna make this shot. It's like the yakuza are playing with him, and he's like, all right, bet. And just he takes off his jacket, and he's just like totally just the man about it. Like he never had a doubt in the world. He's not even phased. Like he doesn't care about their threats. This isn't an impossible shot. I'll do this easy.
But I guess like, okay, he made the shot. Like now what? Like was he supposed to like have more power in the gang? That like
no, he just gets to live. He just gets to walk away because they were going to kill him unless he made the shot.
And then after that, he shows them a picture and he goes, "This guy." But like, who was he showing them a picture of? Maybe the YouTube guys. I don't know.
All I care about was how cool the scene was.
Because yeah, don't they go and rough up the YouTube guys?
Yeah, it is right after that they go and rough up the YouTube guys. The other thing that I wasn't super clear on is how Ren got involved with the White Center cleanup.
That's extremely clear.
Well, tell me, because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, they did you not watch the entire episode? Because that's like
just tell me, all right?
That's what the episode's about.
Humor me.
So you're talking about how he's like raising Kyoko as a child, right? But that's not really what happens. Kyoko escapes. She's on her own, and he befriends her and gets her trust, and they're together for a few weeks. And in that few weeks, like, is the only time that she feels like safe as a child because her mother abandoned her and she doesn't have a father. I think he died or something. But comes around that her mother is actually with the yakuza guy. Yeah. And they show up at the ramen place looking for her, and they find her there with Ren and get into an altercation because they're trying to take her, but Ren is there. So Ren tries to fight the back. Like, you might be her mom, but you abandoned her. You're a bad person. So that there's a fight with the Yakuza guy at the ramen place. The police show up. They arrest everybody. And the police are going to end up charging Ren probably because he is in the grand scheme of everything. The Yakuza have him dead to rights. They have the mom of the kid, and they have the story that they can spin. But instead of letting that happen, they choose to blackmail Ren and say, "Hey, we'll let this slide. You can have the girl, but you have to do something for us in order to do this." And he's like, "Fine, I promise you I'll do it." So they're cashing that in, and they force him to go on this trek into the cave with the meteor if he wants to have custody of the kid, essentially.
Okay. I'm dumb. I forgot that. All right, sue me.
We should mention that Yutaka Takanouchi plays the Yakuza guy, and he's completely unrecognizable.
Oh, absolutely. I didn't even know it was him until later.
You know who else? Me and Kevin. Like I don't notice stuff a lot. Kevin, this even skipped by him, but well, first of all, we should just have a special mini section for episode 4 because it's awesome. Episode 4 is where we're following the YouTubers more or less, and they're trying to do their own, like, what do they call it? The YouTubers do it all the time now. Like cyber sleuthing, like true crime people do it all the time, and so he winds up. The brother winds up noticing, like in the background of a music video, a J-pop video for a song called "Demon Succubus." That he thinks he sees the human vapor. I think that's what it is. But yeah. And so he tracks down the video director, who is a crazy man who wears a kilt at all times for some reason. Something neither me or Kevin noticed was he's played by Masahiro Takashima, who I think people know as the lead in Gunhead and in the Heisei Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And Yamato Takeru, and he has a small part in Godzilla vs. Destroya. He's done a lot of other things, but he plays the music video director. So, I mean, it's awesome to see him. I mean, yeah, he looks drastically different from whatever we probably last saw him in 30 years ago.
I mean, that's my favorite scene in this whole series.
Oh, the interview?
That insane interview.
Yes, I think this is probably my favorite scene as well. It's just so weird and perfect. And again, it feels like something right out of a Coen Brothers movie for some reason.
Yeah. Do you remember what some of the stuff they were at? Like, they didn't ask him like any hard questions.
So like he sat down and he said, "You shouldn't wear a bolo tie because I'm wearing one." And the guy takes off his bolo tie and he says, like, "Do you have a driver's license?" And he says, "Yes." And he says, "Well, that doesn't matter." And then and then he asks him if he can speak German, and he makes indecipherable like squawking noises.
No, he makes a meowing sound because, like, when he was in the waiting room, he heard the person in the room before him. The director was asking her to like do a realistic meow, like a cat in heat or something. So he starts making that sound.
Then he has his assistant bring lemonade, which is orange juice, and he takes a drink and he's like, "Yeah, this is orange juice," and he's like, "All right, you're hired." And then he talks about how his assistant like squeezed the orange juice with her bare hands and you can taste her fingers on it.
Yeah.
No, the best part is like as the interview is like going on, and like he gets to that moment where he asks him about the juice. It's like, what do you think about the juice? And when he says it's orange juice, you cut back and you see like the director is crying, like he's just it's like tears streaming down his face. He's so happy.
And then also we have like an extensive flashback in that episode of just him making this crazy music video. And then we also get to see the actual music video for Demon Succubus, and the whole thing is like this goofy like homage to like The Exorcist and Evil Dead and like Lucio Fulci films. Speaking of Fulci, in addition to a bunch of Toho tapes and posters, there's also a zombie VHS tape in their apartment, and the music video is just great. Like I said, if you're a fan of like The Exorcist and Evil Dead and Fulci and crazy like Italian horror, like there's all these. It's like its own little love letter to that, and
or even if you're just a fan of like the era of like J-rock music videos in like the mid 2000s.
Yeah, the song is
it
very harkens back to that style.
And I was looking for it on Spotify like immediately after I saw the episode, and unfortunately it's not up there.
It's not on. The song is catchy. I don't like. There's no reason. Like this was Toho's chance to like manufacture a viral moment for this show. But no, the music video isn't on YouTube. The song isn't on any streaming platforms. Like, guys, come on. Like
it's the worst thing, because all I want to do is watch this music video.
Yeah, I want to watch this music video over and over. I want to send it to my friends. I want to listen to the song when I'm like driving to work. Like, come on, people. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
But yeah, to bring it full circle, episode 4, it's a bottle episode essentially in the show, and it is fantastic. You could almost watch it on its own, and it's amazing.
We didn't even talk about like the scene of the sister who's like super like shy and socially awkward, has to go into a host club to get information. She's just getting progressively more wasted as she's trying to grill this host.
Yeah,
her brother is in her earpiece, like, stop drinking, you're getting too drunk.
Yeah, she's throwing up everywhere. No, yeah, those characters are great, and the brother has a great like sort of like sacrifice scene, also, where like he basically he literally throws his sister off a bridge, to keep her from being killed by the human vapor, and he goes out like a champ.
And sort of again we talk about this show makes small references to the original movie that you wouldn't know unless you'd seen the original, so they don't hold this back at all. And this is one of them. Like his death is reminiscent of the way the original movie ended. He flicks the lighter to blow up the vapor. Yep. That's how the original movie ends.
And there was also a kind of neat touch where I think both Kenji and Kyoko do it. I don't remember which one started it, but like they do the gesture where they like put their hand on their chest, like how Mizuno did when he would turn into the Vapor Man. And in this, he says like, if you do this and like take deep breaths, like you'll relax. And so that's another thing where it's like you wouldn't recognize that gesture if you didn't see the original movie, but if you did, it's like just like a cool little Easter egg kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think one thing that I want to just say that I more or less said, but really kind of hammer home is, man, the story of Kyoko and Ren really is like sad, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's super sad.
Yeah, like it's heartbreaking.
But this is again K-drama essentially we're working with, so it's kind of on brand.
Yeah. But yeah, just to see the people they were and to literally see how they had both become monsters because of monstrous things being done to them. Yeah, that really kind of is sort of like a gut punch. And the guy, if I'm saying it right, Yuta, who plays the human vapor. I mean, Shunogori and Yu Aoi are known for being like really good actors. But this is a first time performance for this guy, and man, I was bowled over by him. To see his performance as this monster, but also to see how he portrays this really kind, really good-hearted and wholesome person in these flashbacks. How do we feel about that performance?
For a first performance, like a debut as an actor coming in from modeling, fantastic. I loved him.
Yeah,
he's so charismatic.
He does come from an acting family, so that might be a component of it. But yeah, I mean, it was really good. Like, honestly, both versions of the performance. Because at first, when he's just kind of like doing the creepy, like kind of doing like an impression of the original in his first appearances, like when he's just like sending threatening videos or whatever. But then later on, where he's just kind of like again playing a Terminator, like also good, and then the flashback sequences. So
yeah, no, and just man, those flashbacks just really got to me. Like there's so many sweet moments that are played, I think, really well. It didn't seem too like too schmaltzy, I guess.
And his major special effects moments really good too. Like he gets to, when he's running out of the cave after the meteorite somehow like changes him, which for anything, I think maybe this was a reference or was inspired possibly by watching Annihilation. Like I think maybe that's kind of what they were going for with this meteorite being able to like change him.
I was thinking Annihilation came to mind, and Color Out of Space also.
Exactly. Both come to mind, which are they're similar movies.
They're both great too. So.
But yeah, his acting is he's like running out of the cave and he's like struggling and writhing around on the ground and screaming and stuff and trying to get them to help him. That's all very good too.
Other performances, I mean, Kenji and Kyoko, I did really buy them as I don't know, a couple / former couple. And I thought their backstory was well done, and I thought they did a good job of just kind of showing like these two, they're not really together, but they definitely still love each other. I mean, he finds out that she's complicit in all these murders, and his first instinct is like, you're coming to my house and you're not going anywhere. The Yakuza guys are fun. I mean, they're stereotypes. They're like out of like, a mid 2000s Takashi Miike film. This is probably like the Japanese equivalent of like, when we see like gangster characters that seem like they're just like Sopranos, knockoffs or whatever. But
they're 100% stereotypes. I think they're supposed to be. They're kind of the butt of the joke for a lot of the time they're on screen, to be honest.
Yeah. The movie or the show really just sort of makes fun of them the whole time, and
so much so that like another one of my favorite scenes is when like the son of the Yakuza boss, who becomes like the main like Yakuza villain,
and he's got that weird like perm or whatever.
Yes, but like when they're torturing Kenji, or he's about to torture him, and he starts talking about like this ritualistic, I think he calls it like parfany or something.
Yeah.
And Kenji breaks free. He beats the shit out of all the mobsters, and he's like getting his last, like his one-on-one with this guy, and he's about to like, give him that last, do him the last punch. He's like, what the hell is a parfany anyway? and then he punches them out, and it's like, I read that that's actually an ad-libbed line, and they kept it in the show.
Well, I was thinking like, okay, that must be like a word for something, but it's not even like a real. It's not a thing. I don't think it's a thing that exists. So I think
no, it isn't. So the actor very realistically had read the script, and in that moment was like, what the hell is parfany anyway? And then punches him in the face, and they kept it in the show.
But yeah, like this made up word, this parfany. That's again like there's a weird sense of humor in this show, where they keep saying they're gonna do a parfany, and that's not a thing. And then towards the end of the show, the main character is like, what are you talking about? I thought like I was dumb and like, okay, what is this? But then like I couldn't find any evidence that it was a word anywhere. The other part, the part that made me laugh was the one crooked cop, the one with the gray hair, his death scene. He has this like contraption that's like it's like a like chicken wire basically, and he's trying to
that whole fight leading up to it is wild. It's like it's just like something straight up out of Baki the Grappler. Like this guy starts pulling weapons out of like places you don't know exist on his body.
Yeah, like there's a knife. Like seems like he's got a knife taped to him like on every limb, and he's fighting with Kenji's I forget her name. She's a cool character too. His partner, the lady with the short hair. And they're fighting in this hallway, and it seems like he just keeps taking out another weapon after like, and eventually he takes out this contraption with like chicken wire, and he's trying to choke her, and she shoves him into an elevator, and like it's like wrapped around him, like he somehow got himself wrapped. I think it's like wrapped around his waist or something, and like the handle for it is stuck outside the elevator, and so the elevator starts moving, and like you just see the little handle like go up, and you just see like he's basically, it's off screen, but he's basically like cut in half in this elevator, and you just see the little handle go up, and you see all the blood coming down from the elevator. That whole scene had me cackling.
Lady Cop was best girl.
Yeah, no, she was awesome.
Yeah, she was really cool. Like she definitely gave off those vibes of like, 90s Hong Kong action movies with female leads.
Yeah, she had that kind of badass 90s female martial artist vibe down. See, that's like, even the side characters are really cool. Like, but yeah, I think the thing that, like I said, one more pass at the script to kind of fine tune and kind of sort of get all the subplots, flowing a little better, would really make the show's really good, but that would make it like sing. How'd you feel about the ending?
Like the very ending with the kind of ambiguity or whatever.
Yeah, so basically Kyoko gives the human vapor a order to kill her. And so she lures him into like this vault. And do they blow it up? What do they do in there?
So she lures him down into this vault at the bottom. I think it's an old TV station.
Yeah.
But it looks like a bank vault, which again is a reference to the original movie. But she locks herself in the vault with him, which I guess is airtight, so he can't escape. And there had been conversation a few episodes before about whether or not Ren is like still in there at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this scene plays off of that, where like you can see the vapor is like tossing her around, but he's not killing her. And like there's some sort of conflict going on because you see the vapor like freaking out. There's this big purple face appearing in it. And then they both just disappear. Like there's just an explosion and both the vapor and her are just gone.
And then we sort of do a little time jump where Kenji is chilling at home and he puts on the record of the song Ellie My Love, and he sits on his couch, and in the background we see a vapor person with a little bit more of a feminine figure sort of come into the room, and then it ends. Do we feel like I mean, I guess it's meant to be open to interpretation, right? Is this sort of like him dozing off and, he's just thinking of everything? Is this saying that, she is a vapor person and, like Ren, she's attracted to the song? If that's true, does that mean she just shows up anywhere this song is played? Because the other thing, what with Ren, that song, it had to be played in that specific like area because it was somewhere that had like meaning to them, right?
Yeah, because otherwise she's going to be showing up anywhere that the
anytime
playing, right?
someone listens to that song.
Yeah, so I think the implication is that if this is really her, she has been following Kenji around for the past year, just as a vapor.
Yeah, I was thinking that, or maybe it's like if the song is played like at his house, like that house has meaning to her. What was the connection that they had in that cave where she was playing that song? Was that like where was that?
The shack is where Ren lived originally.
Right. Yeah.
So that's where she spent those few weeks living with.
Yeah.
Ren was in the shack, but the tunnel underneath it led to like underneath that abandoned factory or whatever. So yeah, it's just the shack, I think. Okay. But that's why the vapor of Ren went back there, because Ren was like attached to that place. She thought that was her theory, and why she thought that there was still some of him in there.
My other question though is like, and this is where I have to be like, okay, to me this sort of plot hole. If Ren is gonna do just whatever you want him to do, why go through the whole follow me to the vault and I'm gonna trap you in the vault and basically sacrifice myself so you'll never be able to kill anyone again? Couldn't they have just said like, here, Ren, just go in this bottle or something? Like,
yeah, her plan was really reckless. First of all, it hinges on her cop ex-boyfriend or whatever getting captured by the yakuza
and surviving.
Yeah, so that he can plant the idea to assassinate her in their heads and that they will go through with it. Like,
yeah, it wouldn't just be as easy. Like, you could just as easily say like, hey, you're made of gas. I'm gonna just put you in some Tupperware, or like,
yeah, or if there's in time for that, like, come back later. Because like they were about to escape, and then she's like, "Wait, no, I have a better idea. You get captured, and then we set up my murder." Like,
Yeah, again, another pass at the script. You could have found a better way to make it so he had to chase her and that had to happen. But just to be like, well, I have a better idea. I can just lure him here just to stop him. It's like, you can do anything to stop him because he'll do whatever you say as long as you play that song.
And I think all you need is, like you said, another pass with, and maybe even just one more scene where she's like, no, I believe he's still in there and I'm going to prove it. And that's all you really need, because her deciding to confront him in a place where he can't escape if she is wrong about him, that's her trying to prove that he's still in there, right? And in a way, she kind of did that. Yeah. I don't know. We don't know that because we don't have that connective scene. We're missing.
Yeah. I also want to say the score by Takashi Omama. Omama. Is really good.
I mean, Mama's how I feel about it.
The opening title theme I am still like blasting every day. It's a really good, it's a banger of a score. I just felt like that was worth mentioning. Yeah, I don't know that I've heard of, I mean, this guy's done a lot of music, but I don't know that I've seen anything else he's done. But I guess he did a Gundam in 2017. You guys know Gundam. He's done some Gundams.
Which Gundam did he do? I didn't look into.
So he did something called Twilight Axis.
Okay, well that's
a web novel. Novel.
Yeah, Twilight Axis it's hard. See, I wouldn't have even known because Twilight Axis it's not even a web series. It's like little like web snippets.
Yeah.
And then he did
Witch
one
from Mercury.
called,
like that's a much more like
the Witch of Mercury.
Oh, see now, Witch from Mercury. That's highly celebrated. People love that soundtrack, so that makes sense.
All right,
that's a great soundtrack.
Gundam, still one of my biggest weeb nerd blind spots, but that's neither here nor there. So anyway, it's a really good score. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're kind of winding down here. Are there any stones that we have left uncovered? I'll take that as a no.
Yeah, nothing's particularly coming to mind, although who knows. This is a very there's a lot in this show. Like it's not necessarily complicated, but there's so many kind of non sequiturs that it would be easy for something to just kind of like fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
But on that note, I'd be happy to rewatch it. And come on, Toho, let's get this on a Blu-ray or something.
Yeah, between Toho, it's like you get the two like worst companies together, Toho and Netflix, and they did Singular Point. They did this. I mean, they've done some awesome stuff, but like they don't know how to market it. They don't know. I mean, and a lot of that is the Netflix factor. I mean, Netflix will be cool about making your thing, but when it comes to marketing, you're kind of on your own.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when Netflix did like their big like summer reveal for all the stuff that's coming up, like with like in the next 6 months or whatever, which is earlier this year, I guess. It's like all the new shows that are coming this summer, and they did all their highlights with like Bridgerton and One Piece and
this
like all
this
this
stuff.
Yeah, this was in there with it, and so we were all like, oh wow, they're actually pushing this thing.
Yeah,
but then it dropped, and I think the only reason I even saw it on Netflix is because most of what I watch on Netflix is K-drama and J-drama.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, you'll like this. Yeah,
exactly.
The only reason I knew was just because I was anticipating it so much. I mean, for a lot of people, it was probably like my experience last year with Bullet Train Explosion was literally like I woke up one day and it was there. But this show I was looking forward to so much that I was like obsessively being like, okay, when's the release date? But but yeah, and yeah, I think, like I said, this had a big budget, big stars. Like this, they definitely had high hopes for this, and I know, I forget the guy's name, the CEO of Netflix. He's dumb. I don't remember his name. John Netflix. He mentioned on their like their 2026 earnings call, like this is like one of their shows that, you know, that he spotlighted or whatever. So yeah, I really don't know how well it did. Streaming, that's still something that no one's been able to get them to do, is kind of reveal numbers or whatever. I definitely don't know how it did in Japan, but I hope it did well, because I want more of this.
Agreed. And not because it is going to have to tie into a larger Toho cinematic universe.
No, don't do that.
Please, God, no.
Don't. And I've seen Godzilla fans being like, I wonder if this was going to tie in. It's like, don't. First of all, no, it won't. But second of all, if anyone at Toho hears you and you're giving them ideas, like, we need to tell them not to listen. But yeah, more of this.
Considering how many people we've seen in the news lately admitting that they're getting their ideas from reading posts on Reddit,
right?
Please, for the love of God, don't post anything on Reddit about this.
Right? Yeah. It's even happened. Barnaby Legg, the lore guy from the Monsterverse, he said, I think it was on King of the Monsters, he said he goes to Toho Kingdom frequently.
I mean, there's no other reason why, you know, Doug is named Doug, other than that it was an internet joke that Henry made and then it became canon, right?
Right.
Like,
right, yeah.
Yeah, stay off the internet, continue to get interesting, talented filmmakers with good ideas to come in and take a really cool concept and do something drastically different and awesome with it. Don't put all your chips on Godzilla. You have a stable of giant and non-giant monsters, and this is proof that it can be done. Please give us more of this.
Am I allowed to put one thing out into the universe?
Yeah, but if it curses us...
Can we please get Toho to bring back Yeon Sang-ho and company and do Dogora?
I would watch the hell out of that.
That would be cool.
Absolutely.
The only Toho movie I don't want to see remade is House.
Absolutely. Please
didn't someone make like a shitty remake of that already?
It was a shitty remake of House like a year or two ago, and that's not good.
Was that a Japanese thing, or
it was? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hey, there was one thing I forgot about the show. That one aside that I had in the thread. So you're watching this and you keep seeing the Jeep that this detective is driving around. It kind of pulled me out of things right away, because this dude's driving around a vintage Jeep and it's like immaculate looking. I'm like, what the hell is this dude driving this thing for? He's a detective. Shouldn't he have a police car or something? But no, they make a point that he drives this 1999 Jeep Cherokee Sport XJ, and it's in pristine condition. But as you get later in the show, like, you find out that all the events around his dad dying happened around like 1999, as well as like Ren and everything with Kyoko, all of it. And it's like, hey, maybe this is his dad's Jeep. No wonder he kept it around. And again, they don't mention that in the show at all. It's just a weird quirk.
I wouldn't have. I am like the worst person with cars. Like, I couldn't tell one car from another. So...
Well, it's just, you see cars driving around Japan, right? And it's like, okay, number one, this is a vintage like American vehicle. What? So it definitely that caught my attention. It's like, you picked this vehicle for a reason.
I thought the 1999 fashion sense was dead on in those flashbacks also. Like,
oh, absolutely. It was beautiful.
Anyway, but yeah, give us more crazy revivals, doing off the wall things. I mean, there have been so many cool movies from Toho where it was one and done, but the idea is really cool and could sustain, you know, new takes. I don't want to see remakes. I want to see people just go in wild directions with these, you know, pick a awesome premise and do something different with it. So I have to give them some kudos. They did it right. They've been okay lately. We complain about Toho a lot, whether it's marketing or creative decisions or whatever, but they've been okay. We had Singular Point, -1. We got this, -0. I'm looking forward to. I mean, the Godzilla Shonen Kid anime, I'm not really interested in, but keep the cool stuff coming. If that means I have to suffer through something that isn't so much my bag to get more of the stuff I like, then so be it. How many crazy Rube Goldberg devices activating a record player to get a Vapor Man to do your bidding do we want to give Human Vapor 2026 out of 5? Kevin, why don't you start?
Yeah, I really quite enjoy this. I think that it's exactly the kind of thing that I want to see more of from Toho. I think that they've been doing some really ambitious stuff on certain fronts lately, but the live action television, particularly, we haven't seen much in quite a while, and I think that these kind of revivals of lesser known, and by lesser known I mean anything that's not Godzilla, tokusatsu is quite welcome. It's kind of a perfect revival from that perspective. Like we said, there are a couple of perhaps areas that could have been fleshed out a little bit more that are holding it back from a full 5 out of 5. But I easily give this a 4.5, maybe even a 4.5. Easily give this a 4, maybe even a 4.5. 4.5 misidentified ramen shops.
All right, I'll follow you up. Yeah, I mean there's we were pretty fair, I think, in talking about some of the flaws that are present, but for me the experience was drastically outweighed by positives. This is a solid 4. It could climb up on rewatches even, but I'm going to stick with a 4. This is the kind of stuff that I've been like begging for Toho to make for like decades now. I want more stuff in this ballpark. I am very satisfied, and I'm really glad they didn't just remake the original either, because I have the original. I don't need another version of that. So they basically took a human vapor monster and plugged it into a completely different setting. I really liked it, and for the love of God, someone get Demon Succubus out into the public. So I think Lux is the only one left, so we'll give it to them. What's your score?
I'm going to say, since most of you probably haven't seen it, like I had never seen it, if you want to do your homework first, definitely go watch the original movie. It is fantastic. But if you don't want to go do your homework, it's easy to find if you know where to look. But if you don't want to look it up, get on Netflix, check out this series, because it is absolutely fantastic. You're going to have a great time with it. We talked about some of the stuff that holds it back, but really those are just nitpicks at the end of the day. I've really, really enjoyed the show. I also am going to give it a 4 out of 5 exploding blood bag scientists.
Yeah, you'd think, if you were complicit in that murder, you'd be like, I'm going to sit maybe we'll just do this interview remotely.
Get her sneeze guard up first.
Nah, it's a great scene.
It does explain why she seems so nervous before the interview.
So yeah, check this out. One thing I want to mention is that before we head out, I did notice that Kaylee Hottle's family does have a GoFundMe. If anyone has a few bucks, I really doubt this is a rich family that suffered this loss. So anyone with a couple bucks, some spare change, look that up and feel free to contribute. Check out The Human Vapor on Netflix because it rules. I guess we'll head out, and thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Good night.
Thank you for listening to the Kaiju Transmissions podcast. Please take a moment to rate and review us on iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher. Make sure to subscribe for all the latest episodes. You can also check us out on Twitter at KT_podcast. You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Kaiju Transmissions. And you can email us at kaijutransmissions@gmail.com if you have any questions or comments. And we will see you next time.